Well, hey everyone, here with Kurt. We've got some very exciting news, some viewership growth, some big rating growth. First things first, Kurt, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you, Jason.
Good to see you.
Exciting times at the Q India.
I'll let you introduce it. Talk us through what the past month has been for Q.
Well, I think, it has been the past month, but it's been the past couple of years that we've been working on creating a channel that's got great programming on it, and programming that attracts a young India audience, sort of that, 13 to 30-year-old audience that's been born and bred on content that comes from the internet, that's attracted by stuff that has social media stars in it, that's different than the traditional television type programming that's been on TV for years and is really much more aligned with what people are used to seeing on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. And so we've really been searching as we've transitioned our team in India to be a true India team, and we're a Hindi language channel. So we've got local people who are finding content and licensing that. And so we've got a couple of shows that are really, really performing for us. And we've just had what could only be described as skyrocketing growth in the last month in terms of the viewership on the channel. So we're super pumped about that. And we look to be able to leverage that to continue to grow that. What does that mean? Well, it means not only do we have more people watching the channel, but we can drive more ad revenue, because the more people you have watching, the more ads you can sell at higher prices.
We might as well hop into numbers, and then we'll get into what these things really mean. Do you want to start with impressions and go from there?
In India, they have a measurement called gross rating points, which comes out of their version of Nielsen ratings that most people are familiar with here in North America. That's grown massively for us, and we can come to that. But the one that's easier to understand is impressions, and the number of people that are actually watching the channel on a weekly basis. And for us, it was happening where if we had 500,000 to maybe as much as 1 million unique viewers watching the channel on a weekly basis, that was considered pretty darn good. And while we weren't happy with that, and we wanted that to grow significantly from that point, if we checked in and talked about ratings literally 4 or 5 weeks ago, I would have told you the number was between 500,000 to 1 million people. Well, last week, in terms of impressions, we hit 6.2 million. So you're talking about our growth in terms of our ratings and viewership went up 664% in the last month. Okay, that's massive.
Letting people know, this isn't just 1 week. This is over the span of 5 weeks, where even the week previous, you guys had 4.2 million impressions. So it's not just, oh, we had one great week. It looks like it's building, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we had 2 million more people watching the channel last week than watched it the previous week. And so that kind of growth, I mean, it has so many benefits to it. Not only does it benefit, as I said, in terms of ultimately kind of reaching to the ultimate benefit, which is driving ad sales and ad revenue. That's really what this is all about. It's a virtuous cycle that occurs, because as you get more viewership, more people get exposed to the channel. That becomes part of their habit of going and saying, okay, what's on the Q India this week? And so as you build that, not all 2 million of those people are going to stay on as regular viewers, but you will get a percentage of those that do become regular viewers. So each week, as the ratings go up and up and up, that's how it works. I mean, if you look at television history or even media history, it's always a hits-driven thing. If you look at Fox networks, they were fledgling and struggling. They originally had The Simpsons, and then they found a show called American Idol. I'm not going to go so far as to say that we found our American Idol right now, but we have found a handful of shows that come out of the Indian social culture and the internet culture of India that we've put onto the channel, and they've obviously really caught on.
Well, even just looking, look, it's not just impressions. Your average time spent viewing is up as well, up to 35 minutes. Again, last week, 27. So not just out of nowhere, but they give people an idea. The beginning of the month, the average watch time was 9 minutes. Now it's 35. I mean, pretty crazy. I think people understand that that's great. Longer time people watch, the more ads they see, all that stuff, they get it. Do you want to talk about maybe what fueled some of the growth, in your opinion? I mean, you said some of your hit shows, but in 2 weeks, is that all it was some hit shows?
There's no sort of one silver bullet. A hit show is a huge part of that, obviously. Part of it is what we call the channel hygiene. that sounds very medical. The channel hygiene is really about how you're promoting things on the channel, the day parts of where you're grouping this. I mean, a lot of this stuff is science mixed with art, in terms of how when you watch a television channel, you're not just those shows aren't showing up there at that time randomly. They're figuring out and creating that. We've been looking very, very carefully at that. Part of what's been driving these are actually a couple of kind of edgy animated shows that come from these really cool young creators. These are kind of Adult Swim style things that a younger audience is going to appeal to. One of them is called Dilchop Kahani. The other one's Dharavi Kahani. These have really sparked sort of interest from people. We also have a show that is called VB on the Web. We actually put a press release out about a month ago that we just licensed these shows from a big Indian director named Vikram Bhatt. There was that book and movie 50 Shades of Grey. They're kind of like that. They're not, they're not R-rated, but they're on the edge, and they're kind of procedural mystery things done for the web and done for a young audience and an internet style audience. We're pretty excited about that. And I think when you talk about time spent viewing, I mean, some of the things that you'll see in the comparison, if you look at, the press releases we've put out, you'll find that time spent viewing that we go against, to go from 9 or 10 minutes, which is kind of where we were, that's okay. That's not bad. That means that's the time someone stays on your channel between when they come on the channel and when they flip the channel to go to another one. It doesn't sound like it would be, but actually 9 to 10 minutes isn't so bad. We went from 9 to 10 minutes to 35 minutes over the last month. 35 minutes starts to compete with what movie channels get. Movie channels traditionally have extremely long viewership times because people watch a 2-hour movie. Even a regular channel that's showing half-hour programs doesn't get 35-minute viewing time because people usually watch 1 half-hour show and flip to another channel. So 35 minutes, not only is it basically 4 times higher than where we were a month ago, it's also a real number, and you're starting to talk about playing with the big boys when you get those kind of viewership times.